You're watching News 24 Live. Last week we had former Springbok centre David Barry in studio with us. Today we have his longtime midfield partner in studio, Marius Joubert, to talk about rugby matters ahead of the Rugby World Cup final and of course the Springboks bronze playoff. Marius, thank you very much for coming in today.
Nick, thank you for having me.
Like I said, we had your midfield partner in studio last week. And I guess as a former number 13, we've got some sort of pertinent questions for you on the midfield too. But before we get there, what have you made of the Springboks' performance in the World Cup thus far? Did you think they had the potential to get further than the semi-finals?
Well, I always thought it's going to be a tough World Cup for them. They took a lot of confidence out of the Super Rugby. They left here with a bit of politics behind them, so everything wasn't all well before they left. But I think it was obviously very disappointing losing against Japan, so they didn't have a great start. Lost a bit of confidence there. But they picked it up very nicely against Samoa and Scotland and USA, and I thought they actually played some decent rugby then. But Wales were obviously very tough, so they struggled a bit there. They struggled to score tries. It was a quarter-final, so it's a lot more pressure. But I always thought it's going to be a tough World Cup for them, and unfortunately they came against a very good All Blacks side. I thought the All Blacks weren't very good on the day, so there was a possibility to beat them, but unfortunately we got unstuck with 2 points.
Now you mentioned not scoring enough tries. Back in the day, I mean, you were known for scoring hat-tricks against the All Blacks. Former outside centre, it seems like our outside centres aren't getting nearly as much ball as you did. That goes for the whole back line. That seems to have been a bit of a talking point and issue for this sort of game plan that Heineke Meyer has for the Springboks, and potentially why they,
no, it's very true. It's obviously a very big concern for outside backs. I prefer to obviously get the ball a little bit more in my hands. But the World Cup is a high pressure competition. We've never showed that in previous World Cups, that's always putting pressure and obviously get penalties and maybe a drop call there. So I think we went back into that mode, of what we are good at. Our strengths are forwards, and our backs are setting our ball for us, that type of thing, But it's not the greatest type of rugby, It's not. I don't think people like to see that.
It's not pretty.
It's not pretty, and it's a lot of kicking. So it's a bit of a concern. But it was what Heineke thought on this World Cup that will win them the World Cup. But unfortunately, the centres don't get enough ball, and they don't build enough pressure. There's no penetration, and they don't get in behind them. So it is a bit of a concern, and hopefully this weekend we'll throw the ball a little bit more around.
Now, speaking about this weekend, the Boks obviously facing Argentina in that fourth place playoff. Argentina, I suppose, a relatively new opponent from the days when you played. What have you made of the sort of rise of Argentina rugby, and what do you think, what kind of opposition are they going to prove to be this weekend?
Look, they've come a long way. I mean, a couple of years ago, that was a given. That was a win for South Africa. I mean, it wasn't a problem, but we've seen that we got unstuck against them this year. So Argentina will have the confidence that they know they can beat South Africa on the day. I think they play a nice brand of rugby. They're exciting. But I think all the minnows, as they say, are playing much better, because these guys are getting exposed to this type of rugby. They're playing in France, they're playing in Europe and all over, and the East is also picking up their rugby because there's an influence of South Africans in there as well. So I think it's exciting that Argentina will probably play a nice brand of rugby, but I think also the pressure is off on us this weekend. So I think we'll also play a nice type of game on the weekend with not a lot of pressure and can just throw it around.